Hi, friends. Welcome. Hi. Welcome. I am Carrie. I'm the Associate Executive Director here. This is Jerome. Jerome is on our board. And welcome to Free Recovery Community. Thank you for joining us online. We are glad that you're here. For those of you who are new with us, you should know that we're a community of addicts, loved one of addicts, and spiritual refugees. Here we break the silence of addiction while creating space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. There is always one thing that we do not do here, and I would love for you guys to join me in shouting it out as loud as you possibly can. 4 words. If you don't know what they are, just look up here on your screen. But on the count of 3, join with me. 1, 2, 3.
We don't do shame.
Thanks, friends. Jerome.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you. My name is Ryan Canaday. Just kidding. Yeah, we know one of the beautiful things is he's out enjoying himself on vacation. And I am grateful that we get to be up here because, the reach and the magnitude of what we do now carries on even when he's not here. So thank you for being here. I do have 2 announcements to share. If this is your first time here, welcome. And for those of you online, if this is your first time, thanks for joining us. Please see one of the staff members or myself after service, and we'll be happy to get you one of our swag bags that has a little bit about what we do here, a couple items of swag, like I said, and some fresh roasted coffee from Tammy and her team at Wagon Coffee. The second announcement I have is Rest Week next week. So June 5th, right? We will not be here. Sorry, July. I said June. I meant July. The summer is just like, days are flying by. So I'm behind. Sometimes I'm ahead. This time I'm behind. We will not be here next Saturday. The building will be open. Groups will continue. That will happen. But if you show up at 5 o'clock, you're going to be by yourself. But there might be 1 or 2 people with you, but you will be alone. We won't be here. Also, the cafe will not be open for 4th of July. The building will be open, groups as usual, because groups don't take a day off. That's important. So, and that's all I have for you. And thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Jerome. Yeah. All right, how we get started here every week is with celebrations. So we like to celebrate whatever it is, big or small. We love to join together and celebrate all the wins in this community. We believe that we come together, we cheer each other on, and that we just remind each other that we're not doing this alone. So whether you're online, you can drop it in the comments. Any celebration, again, new jobs, anniversaries, anything new in your life. This 3 minutes is for you guys to please join with us and let us celebrate with you. These 3 minutes are yours. Jerome's going to pass around the mic.
I'm Kai, and I'm celebrating not graduating, but ending the school year at the top of my class.
Yes, way to go, Kai. Love seeing you in person.
Hey, I'm Jackie. We're keeping with the school theme. I just graduated with my MBA from DU.
Hi, I'm Layla. I am celebrating 52 days of recovery today, and I just got a new job.
Yeah!
We have time for 12 more.
Hi, I'm Mo, and we're celebrating our engagement.
Congratulations. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Cassie, and I'm celebrating going back to school. I just registered for classes to get my real estate license.
Oh, amazing.
Ryan always promises not to make it awkward for you guys, but I don't. We're gonna ride this time out, guys.
I mean, I feel like like we should celebrate the candidates, right? I
Yes,
mean,
we
they are
should.
They are joining us, hopefully from Huntington Beach. They are enjoying an amazing family vacation. They work so hard around here, both of them, their entire family. They always sacrifice family time. Those kids come here all the time, so I definitely want to lift them up. And they're an amazing family, and we're very lucky to have them.
Hi, I'm Liz. I just want to celebrate my friend Jess tonight. Her and her family just opened a new restaurant in Littleton as well, so big week for her. So
It's called Bruno's. All of y'all have to go there and make sure you do 5-star Google reviews.
I'm Jerome. I have one as well. We had our little puppy was born this week. So we'll get her in 8 weeks. We're getting a little mini Bernie Doodle. So she came into the world this week.
That's a good thing to celebrate. One last one. Anyone? Celebrate being sober. I will second that. Amazing. All right, Jerome, you want to come back up here?
Yeah, one more time. Well, two more times.
2 more times. So these are our online celebrations. Do you want to go ahead and start first?
Yeah. Oh,
Yay!
it's Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi, everyone. Candidates here, joining y'all from Cali.
Little
Good to see you.
jealous. All right, Mike says, my granddaughter's soccer team won the U13 Girls Academy National Championship. Congratulations.
Brian, I hit 4 years clean and sober on Wednesday. We can definitely celebrate that.
Zach, it's my wife Katie Bloom's birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Katie Bloom.
And Tammy, we got candidate number 2. Well, maybe number 1. I don't know what their order is. Grateful for our community showing up so we have time away to enjoy as a family.
We love you guys. Jean, we are getting a new puppy in 2 weeks. Wonder if it's part of the same litter.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
We got a lot tonight. This is fun. All right, Harold, 9 years clean and serene.
Oh, congratulations,
Great job,
Harold. Tyler. Oh, Tyler. Arrived safely. He was the one in our cafe, if you guys remembered. Arrived safely in Florida this week and received an email on my first day in the new office officially clearing me to return to flight duty after over a year of medical evaluations. Congratulations,
Congrats,
Tyler. We miss you. We are super glad that you are tuning in online. All right. Thanks, guys. We are in the middle of the summer series called, I'm blanking on the name, Summer Grinds. Here's the promotion video.
My summer love, just let me know, just let me know. My summer love, all the one dance in the sun.
All right, and as you guys know, Ryan is not here tonight, so we have a guest preacher in the house tonight. So this guest, he is absolutely fantastic. I don't know if you guys remember this. A few months back, I think it was late fall of 2024, he joined me up in the living room as a guest storyteller. He does tremendous work when it comes to inner child work. He is a therapist, he is a professor, and he's also what's considered a teaching pastor. I had no idea what that meant, but Ryan informed me that it's very similar even to what he does. Is just somebody who basically preaches. So we're very, very fortunate. He's in the recovery community. He has a wonderful message. So please help me welcome Corey Latta up to the stage.
Thank you. Good to be with you all tonight. Good to see everybody. Ryan, shout out to you in California, and Tammy, thanks for inviting me. So I want to begin tonight by asking a question. The title of my talk is, I don't live there anymore. And by there, I mean the past. So we're going to talk about what it means to be dragged back into the past through shame and guilt, the importance, like the vital importance of living in the present, and then how to have a future that we can hope in. But first, let me start with a question. This is a rhetorical question, all right? But I want you to answer it. Who here has struggled with what they've done or what's been done to them in the past? Who's been haunted by bad choices, trauma, hurts, addictive patterns? Who's felt shame and guilt around their past stories? Me too. Me too. Now, here's a follow-up question to those questions. It doesn't feel good, right, to go back into the past. No one wants to feel all the things that the past makes us feel, and yet we do it, right? We do it all the time. Why? Why is it that we go back into the past again and again and again when we know there's nothing there for us? It doesn't feel good to us. It doesn't do good for us. Why do we? So on my Instagram account, I'll post questions. Sort of, I've got kind of this therapy Instagram thing going. And I'll ask questions and get just really amazing, honest answers. And the question I asked in preparation for tonight was, why is it we go back to the past? Why are we given to shame and guilt when we know it doesn't feel good? And I had a tremendous response. I had over 100 responses. I could have written any one of these answers I'm going to read to you. I mean, literally, it could have been me. But I'm going to share some because I think they're relatable. So again, answers to the question why it is we get dragged back into the past with shame and guilt. All right, someone said, growing up, my mistakes and struggles were used to make inferences about my character. So conditioned in them, right, that they can't help but go back. Why do we go back into the past when it feels so bad? Because it's always my fault. That story that everything is my fault. I feel incredibly embarrassed about my past choices and not knowing better sooner. Here's the shame, right? Hear that shame? Because for so long, it's all I knew. Who would I be without it? Because I protected, I mean, a lot of people are going to be able to relate to this one. Because I protected others' feelings more than my own, so I blame myself instead. This one gripped me. I thought this was so insightful and also so sad. Because shame gives me a sense of perceived control, even if it's unfounded. Like, shame will give me the illusion of control. There's no control there, right? But it'll give me the illusion of it. Because acknowledging it, the past, makes me aware of the bad in me, and I don't want to look at that part. Again, I could have written any one of those. So, how do we stop going to this past that has nothing for us? I'm going to hit you with 3 different reasons why we keep going to the past, and then we're going to get to how to work ourselves out of it. The first one is this. We go to the past. I'll start there, why we go to the past. We go to the past when our story around it hasn't changed. We go to the past when our story around it hasn't changed. So I'm a therapist, as Carrie said, and one of my approaches is narrative therapy. All right? So narrative therapy is things have happened to us, right? You experience things happen to you, you've done things. Narrative therapy says the thing itself doesn't matter as much as the story you have about the thing. There's where the meaning is, right? So you could have 2 different people experience the same kind of trauma, enter into the same sort of addictive patterns, right? One person can work right through that. They don't seem like they're scathed a bit. There's no shame. There's no guilt. The other, though, same experience, will be eaten up with shame and guilt. The difference there is the story they hold about their past. It's not the past that has power over us. Hear this. It's the story we have about our past that has power over us. So one of the things I like to sort of roll out to people, my background's in literature, and when I found my own recovery journey, I became a therapist. But in my literary days, I kind of meld these things together. I was super fond of, and I use it all the time, I'm kind of a cliche with this, what's called the hero's journey, okay? So I'll talk about how the hero's journey can help us change our story about our past and therefore take us out of that past. So here's what the hero's journey is. The hero's journey is called the monomyth, the one story. It's any book or any movie you've ever seen, honestly. It's really the same story told again and again and again in different ways. Disney, Pixar, like they've made all the billions and trillions of dollars off this one model. So this is it right here, okay? Now, when I'm working with someone, I want them, that means I want you, to see yourself as the hero. Okay, you are the hero of your own journey. Here's the way it goes. You're born into the known. And the known is like the small town you grew up in, the religion you grew up with, mom, dad, whatever house situation or family of origin you were exposed to. And life is just life. You don't really know anything else. And then, in the hero's journey, there's always what we call a threshold experience. And this threshold experience thrusts you from the known to the unknown. Now, when I'm working with someone, I'll say, let's think about the first 12, 15 years of life, okay? It's usually a divorce, terminal illness, maybe of a loved one, a geographic move, something, addiction, abuse, being exposed to something. Like my parents divorced when I was 12. Boom, I was thrust. It was very volatile, messy, and addiction was involved. I was thrust from the known to the unknown. This has to happen before you can become the hero of your journey. So I made this comment in the first service. There's a reason why, like, listen, you do not want to be a parent in a Disney movie. It is not going to go well for you. Right? You're not going to make it past the first 5 minutes. Right? Somebody's getting offed, okay? Why is that? It's because the Elsa, the Simba, you've got to be thrust into the unknown, and nothing thrusts us into the unknown like the loss of security and belonging. So Disney's like, I'll just kill a mom. I mean, that's what happens. Okay, so once you've entered into the unknown, you meet two kinds of people, helpers and mentors. I love Lion King. I'll use Lion King. Simba meets Timon and Pumbaa, okay? And then he's got a guardian. So helpers are just they're just with you. They're just to make you feel less alone. They're your pals, okay? You just kind of travel your path with them. And then you've got guardians or mentors, and this would be like Rafiki in The Lion King. These are your teachers. I had a karate teacher who was really meaningful to me after my dad left. I had a Sunday school teacher, a grandfather. You fill in the blank. You've got those people that were with you for a time that guided you. Okay, saying all that to say this. It's inevitable the hero has got to go down into the abyss. Now, if you're in recovery, you know more than likely you're going to fill this in with your addiction, okay? The abyss could be death of a loved one, addiction, terminal illness, job loss, divorce. We have several abysses in life, but there's going to be something that accomplishes an abyss in you, and what that means is you hit bottom. You're on your back. In the abyss, literally, something has to die so that something can be reborn, but something's got to die. Something goes away so that something else can come into the picture, can be born into you. Now, the hero makes it through the abyss and experiences transformation and atonement, okay? Go back to our point. Here's what happens when you pass through the abyss and you don't have the right story around it. You will make it through your abyss and be plagued by your past, dragged back into it when you think that your abyss happened to you and not for you. You've got to be able to see that the things that happen to you, horrible as they may be, traumatic as they may be, happen for you, not to you. That there is a benevolent higher power guiding this whole thing. The story of Joseph in the Old Testament. He's sold into slavery by his brothers, faces a tremendously hard situation. Imagine like the abandonment, the rejection, am I going to live? He gets sold into slavery and is bounced around Egypt and all that. He finally has this moment of reunion with his brothers. And he says to them, because he had a grasp of what the story was and what it should be, he says, you meant this for evil, God meant it for good, okay? That is giving the right story to the past so that you can move on from it. But we get dragged back into our past when we don't have the right story around it. Okay, second reason why we keep returning to the past. We keep returning to the past when we don't know what it's like to live in the present. When we are poor in the present. When we don't have enough present, we tend to get filled up with the past. And it is a discipline. Listen, I suck at this. I am not good at, if there's one thing I'm going to talk about in which I'm a hypocrite, it's living in the present. I disassociate all the time. Like I distract myself all the time. I don't want to sit in today's emotions. I don't want to sit in today's questions. I don't want to hold that, right? So I go back into the past with regret, or I'll go into the future with anxiety. But I leave myself every time I don't attend to what's happening now. One of my favorite authors is C.S. Lewis, wrote Chronicles of Narnia. I've got Narnia tattooed on my arm. Love Lewis. One of his books is The Screwtape Letters. Anybody ever heard of The Screwtape Letters? Phenomenal book, right? It's a fiction, that's gonna be clear to you when I describe it, because there's no way it's about a chief demon writing to a lesser demon. So this is not biography here. But you have the way the story goes, you have this chief demon writing to a lesser demon, writing letters, the Screwtape Letters. Screwtape writing to a lesser demon named Wormwood about how to tempt and ultimately damn the patient. And the patient is just the human. Okay, that's their job. So there's these series of letters that go back and forth, and in one letter, Screwtape says to Wormwood, listen, here's what you most want. You most want the patient to not think about heaven. Don't think about the future. Don't think about being with God, anything like that. But if you fail at that, the next thing you need to go for is to get the patient out of the present. Have them not think about the present. That's where we don't want the patient. If you could put that Lewis quote back up there. Here's what Lewis says. And this is, again, spoken by Screwtape and Wormwood. The present is the point at which time touches eternity. Of the present moment and of it only, humans have an experience analogous to the experience which God has of reality as a whole. Meaning to God, there's no past or future. It's the always present for God. In it, that is the present moment, alone freedom and actuality are offered us, or offered them, okay? Here's a concept we have got to become familiar and in love with, honestly, if we're going to move ourselves out of the past. Life is only happening now. No, now. No, now. Now. The moment this service started doesn't exist. The moment we close this thing out, that doesn't exist either. The only moment you have to experience freedom, grace, mercy, redemption, a new start, a wise choice, a healthy life is right here, right now. My hope for us, myself and you, is that we'll be so aware and so full of the present, there's no room for the past. But you have got to learn, we have got to learn, I have got to learn what it means to tap into and live in the present. We're going to talk about that in here in a little bit. Okay, third reason why we get dragged into the past. We get dragged into the past when we don't feel worthy of a future. When we don't feel worthy of a future. So Paul, in his letter to the church at Philippi in Philippians, has this beautiful sentiment, this beautiful phrase when it comes to not living in the past and looking ahead to a future. He says this, one thing I do, forgetting what is behind, straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me. Amen. Now, this is easier said than done. Why is it easier said than done? Let me break out a little inner child therapy on you, okay? Because I really do think this is one of the primary reasons. When I was with you guys last fall, and Carrie I was a storyteller, and we're talking about sort of my own past and my own story. One of the things I shared and got into was the importance of inner child work for me in the experience of my own hero's journey, my going through the abyss, my finding transformation. I think it's a beautiful idea. I think almost all spiritual traditions testify to this. I think good therapy is grounded in this. I think the Bible points to this. But here's what, I'm just going to give you kind of a thumbnail sketch of what inner child work is. So imagine, how many people have kids? Okay, well, all right, for those of you who had kids, think about your kid. It maybe is a bridge to think about yourself as a kid. And if you don't have kids, think about a kid in your life, a niece or nephew, because ultimately we want to get down to thinking about ourselves as kids. So here's inner child work. I, as an adult, 45 years old, 45-year-old Corey, and whatever age I was, I will put myself in horrible situations. I'm not generally good to myself. 25-year-old Corey entered into some jacked up toxic relationships. 30-year-old Corey did the same thing. 35-year-old Corey, oh, here we go again, right? 45-year-old Corey, I'm still prone to some of these same patterns and mistakes and forms of self-sabotage that I've always been. We oftentimes aren't good to ourselves as adults. So, inner child therapy sort of works like this. Let's say there's a situation, job, relationship, whatever, that you're in or thinking about getting in, or maybe thinking about getting out. So I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you, when you think about yourself as a little boy or a little girl, what age comes to mind? Shout it out. 7, 5, 8, 9. It's always 8 for me, for whatever reason. Little Corey's always 8. I want you to imagine, and if you have kids, you can sort of viscerally get here, right? I want you to imagine being in that relationship or being in that situation and literally seeing your 8-year-old self, 7-year-old self, 5-year-old self coming up to you, taking him or her in your arms and holding them and asking them and asking yourself, do they need to be in this relationship? Do they need to be in this situation? I'm bad to myself as an adult. I may put myself in self-sabotaging situations, but you sure aren't going to hurt my little 8-year-old me. I've got 4 kids. I've got 2 sets of twins, 2 9-year-olds, 2 about to be 11 in a couple weeks. Listen, I would die for them and fight like hell that they would never experience what I put myself through. That's the power of inner child work. Can I connect to my 9-year-old self, my 7-year-old self, my 5-year-old self, and say what's good for them? When I can't give myself a future, when I can't strive toward that prize that God has set before me, can I imagine giving my 8-year-old self that future? I can. Can I imagine giving my 5-year-old self that future? So here's how this works. And one reason we get dragged into the past is we don't have a relationship with our inner child, our true self. That self that existed full of love and grace and openness without any shame at all before the trauma, before the addiction, before the rejection, before the abandonment. We're trying to reestablish connection there. Again, I've got kids, and you know this, either being a kid or having kids. You ask a 5-year-old, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? They'll be like, an astronaut, a stegosaurus. Like, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. And they have limitless imagination and capacity and truly believe they can they just sort of come into the world like, ta-da, and you just accept, right? Well, then the pain, right? Then the bullying, then the rejection, then the abandonment. I'll never forget, I've told the story a million times. Little things like this happen to sort of damage that inner child. There's a guy I knew, looked up to, who was a therapist, and he was in his 60s. Brilliant guy, had a PhD, and he said when he was in 2nd grade, his teacher asked him a question and said, class, can you name some presidents? And he said, Andrew Lincoln. Like, okay, you got a couple, merged a couple there. And the kid in front of him turned around and laughed in his face, okay? Now, this guy had a PhD. He said he never spoke in class again in elementary school, middle school, high school, college, grad school. Never another word. Like, just that little kind of infraction on the true self, right? So we come into the world like this, and then we start trying to fit in to our families of origin. We get bent, we get broken because of the trauma, and we lose connection with that unashamed, loving, graced true self. But if you reconnect to him or her and ask yourself, what does she need? What does he need? What future does God want for him or her? You're not going to spend any time in the past. You're going to be thinking about the present and what's going to bring you into the future. If you can't imagine the future that you deserve, imagine the future that they deserve, that's worthy of them and that they are deserving of. Okay? Now, here are some takeaways to kind of land this plane, some hopes that I have. One is, like, how do we, to sort of make this tangible and begin to live this out? One is you got to burn the boats of shame and guilt. Listen, it's only 3 things bring us to the past, drag us back. Shame, guilt, and people who shame and guilt us. That's kind of it, right? Doing things that make me feel shame and guilt, feeling shame and guilt, or being around people that shame and guilt me. You've got to burn those boats, all right? It's a sort of idea like the Vikings would go into a new land and they're going to conquer, and they would literally set fire to the boats that took them there. They would burn their escape route. Like, we're going to do or we're going to die here. You've got to burn the boats of shame and guilt, which means this: when you see and feel and are haunted by that shame and guilt, you name it and you excise it. You name it and you make it exile. You name it and you process it. You work through it and you rid yourself of it. You ask the shame and the guilt parts, step aside, we're not going to do relationship anymore, and you start having relationship with the hopeful parts of you, the loving parts of you, the true parts of you, right? But you got to burn those boats. Second, you have to surround yourself with people who help you burn those boats, people who see you for who you are and who you can be, not who you were, right? Community, it matters. People you hang out with, they matter in terms of how you're formed. So I need to draw boundaries around. We're going to listen to a song here that really talks about this very thing. I need to draw boundaries around those who don't see me for who I truly am, who choose to keep seeing me for who I was. I don't need those people in my life. They will do you no good. The people who have meant the most to me are the ones who can see the rebellious parts, see the destructive parts, see the self-sabotaging parts, because I still got them. And they could say, that's not who you are, really. They're just parts. I also see the loving part, the good part, the pure part, the hopeful part, right? You got to have people to call those parts forward. Third way is you got to be able to practice gratitude. Nothing, I talked about living in the present, how you do it. Nothing grounds us in the present like gratitude. I could have all these things going wrong for me. I could have all these things happening to me, which will take me back into the past or give me fear about the future. But the moment I start naming the things that are going well for me, that are working out for me, even if there have been times when my gratitude literally has been, God, I've got breath in my lungs. That's about all I got, right? Even that, though, grounds me in the present. It creates attention. So like it bridges my attention to what's going on here, not what lies behind me, right? So when you practice gratitude, you ground yourself. The other thing I'd say is you've got to be able to practice imagination. So when I talked about connecting to your inner child, well, how do you do that? That sounds kind of ephemeral, right? Abstract. Literally imagine him or her. If you're in the room, I want you to raise your hand because I've thought about telling the story in the first service and I didn't. Last time I was here doing the storytelling interview, there was a lady who came up to me afterwards and told me a story, and I told her when she told me, I'll never not tell your story, so thank you for that because I'm going to use it. I mean, I'm going to give you credit, but it's mine now. I'm taking it. So if you're here, shout out. All right, so after I was here last time, and I'll end with this, a woman came up to me, and we were talking about inner child stuff, and she said she had been through a really, really hard time. She had a really hard childhood and just a lot, right? Just a lot. And she said that she started to do some work and started to heal, and she was having a dream, right? She kept having this dream. And in the dream, and she was, I don't know, midlife, she had a dream that she was on a train, and this train, she was just sort of watching like a passenger train, and she was standing looking out, and the landscape was just blowing by, right? Just going by. And then all of a sudden the train stopped, and it stopped at a playground. And she said she sort of just looked like, okay, well, here we are. And on the playground, there's some kids, but there was this one little girl who was on the swing. And she said this girl stopped and turned and faced her and started walking toward the train. Now she's telling me this. I know where it's going. I start crying. I can't hold her together. Like it's just too much. And she starts getting teary-eyed. One of the most powerful stories I've ever heard. She said the little girl walks up to the train, looks up, puts her hand on the window, and then she puts her hand on the window. And she realizes this little girl was her. And the little girl says one thing. She says, "Where have you been? Where have you been?" That was the dream. That was the dream. That's how you reconnect. You may not have those kinds of dreams, but you use imagination to connect to your inner child. You meditate, you visualize, you get into play therapy, you do something that brings out that kid in you, but you do whatever it takes to connect to that inner child so that you can give him or her the future that they deserve. So as we end, I mentioned the song. The song's called The Bridge. You're going to hear that this song is really about codependency and about toxic relationships, so therefore that song's for all of us. And the bridge, and it's this analogy of being in a castle and being able to draw the bridge. And she's going to talk about it's her hand that's on the bridge, no one else's. She's got the power to pull that bridge and to deny access to those who basically take her life from her, right? And it's not about keeping people out, it's about what you keep in when you draw that bridge. So let it do its thing in you relationally, but I would also encourage you to apply this to your past. Not only do you have to draw the bridge to create those boundaries from those who would bring you back into your past, a bridge between you and shame and guilt, you have to draw a bridge between you and your past. Thank you.
flying that you might be starting a free in Memphis. So I hope you kind of, I know, I'm just saying, the rumors are flying, friends. And maybe, just maybe, we'll get him back here again to kind of get him ready to do his thing in Memphis. I know, right? If you are new with us, you should know that the second half of our service, we always bring a community member up into the living room to share their experience, strength, and hope on the topic at hand. This next Guest Storyteller is super, super special to me, and I was a little selfish on this pick because this is my first time doing like all the things with Ryan gone, and I was so nervous, and I was like, well, if I'm gonna do this, I need to have someone that I just feel super comfortable with and trust, and like, I know that my heart is safe with this person. And what I love about this community is very much like what Ryan continually does for me. He sees things in me that I don't see in myself. And so it's always important to have friends in our life, I think, who may not see us the way we see ourselves. And this next guest storyteller, when I asked her, she was a little apprehensive, and she was like, oh, I don't have all the answers, I can't do it, and all the things. And I know that she has something that's so magical, that is just so innate in who she is, that she doesn't even know how she does what she does, because it's just so who she is. So she has experienced tremendous grief, loss, and just heartache, and lives with a lot of a burden that you would never know unless you truly get to know her. So please, please, please do me the honor and help me welcome my friend Jess up into the living room. You're magical.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here. I want to paint a little bit of a picture, and I want to kind of go back to, I want to start your story in 2018. I know you were a little bit nervous about wanting to not curse while you were up here, so I'm going to go ahead and just like rip off the Band-Aid. And you were a little bit of a shit show in 2018. I want to start there and tell us a little bit about 2018. You had some disastrous news hit you. What did that look like, and what did your addiction look like at the time?
So in April of 2018, I got diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, and also found out that I have the BRCA gene. So that skyrockets your chance of cancer coming back. So I went through chemo and radiation and drank the whole time. I didn't do drugs then, but I definitely drank. And then once I finished all my treatments, it was, off to the races.
I love how our brains are like, it is okay to drink, but drugs is like my hard no, right? Like, that's what we do. I mean, I don't know. That's what I would do. That's just how my brain operates. So what happened after the treatment? And like, again, you went just full force back into it again, but then you have a son, and you got to a very difficult place pretty soon, again, medically after this happened. Can you tell us when your son started to become affected and kind of what happened for you in order to seek treatment?
So yeah, I was back off to the races. And then COVID happened, and I'm not quite sure how things could get worse, but they did. And there was one morning, and I was having seizures, and my son asked me, "Are you okay, Mommy?" And I said, "No, call Aunt Lindsay." And apparently I was in the hospital. I don't remember that. And then I woke up in detox.
That's not quite the end of the story, though. So after you got out of detox, tell us a little bit what happened there.
So after I got kicked out of detox, I
just slide that in there. Just got kicked out of detox. Yep.
I decided to have one last hurrah before I went to rehab, and I don't remember any of that. I missed my sister's baby shower, all kinds of shit. And so then I went to rehab in Texas, and when I got there, I was a little nervous, but I could see in people just like how much better things could be. and I like dove straight into it. My rehab sponsor told me that I was on fire for recovery.
Jess is somebody who works her recovery literally like her life depends on it. She is that like type A student who is like, I'm going to get all of the things right. And like, you know, she is so aggressive to get it. Like she just wants to not understand it necessarily just mentally, but like how do I live this way? You truly do embody recovery. And so you had been sober now. So since you went to treatment in Texas, and you were doing fine. You were doing great in recovery. But then you had 3 things back to back that were just one right after the other. But you got through them in recovery. What were those things? And then kind of tell us where you were at mentally and physically with those.
So my cancer had come back, and it was still like devastating, but I knew that I had been through it before and that I was gonna go through it again, and everything was gonna be fine. I trusted my higher power, and I trusted the doctors because they had saved my life once.
But even that, sorry to stop you on that, but even on that, it was a different diagnosis this time.
Yes.
Tell us what that is.
So I have metastatic cancer, which means I will never be in remission, and that cancer will come back.
And then so dealing with this, you then sought treatment, and you continue to seek treatment to this day of like, this is just your new normal. But what else happened around that same time?
Then after I found out my cancer was gone, I broke my ankle, and then right after that, I found my boyfriend had passed away very suddenly from complications with diabetes.
So now you're still in cancer. You said the cancer was gone, but it wasn't actually gone.
Well,
but it was
active
at the
cancer was gone.
But it was. So now you have, and this is actually when I met you, was the broken ankle. You know, your son's dad is now. You're dealing with both your grief, his grief, this whole new normal. And this is when you really lean into community. You knew that you couldn't do it alone. Literally, you could not drive anywhere. And you really, again, you had those basics in your recovery, but you knew to rely on your community. You have tremendous friends who you surround yourself with. So all of these difficult things are very easy to pull you back in the past. I don't know about any of you guys, but sometimes those closest to us, mainly our family members, if they haven't done the same healing we've done, the version of who you were is more comfortable for you to be. I know today you still struggle with that. Like we said, she just opened a restaurant with her family. What are some of those challenges with people in your current day life who've kind of been there and seen all those different versions of you? How do you remember who you are, and how do you deal when they don't see you today as you may be?
So staying in the rooms in 12-step programs, finding the people that know the real me, that understand me, that see me for me is probably the biggest one. Staying connected to my higher power for sure. But the biggest one is the love and support of my friends, whom a bunch of them are here tonight.
They're pretty special. They're a pretty good bunch. But it's also important, it's like to have those people around, because I don't know about you. I mean, I'll speak for myself on this. I forget all the time. So I need to have those people around. What does it look like for you when you forget? What do you what is the action step you take? What is your red flag that you know you're getting pulled back in?
So when I'm getting pulled back in, I kind of withdraw from my meetings and my friends, and then I can feel it in my body, like anger coming back and reacting to things instead of responding to things, forgetting where I'm at in the moment. So when I start to notice those things, I get reconnected. I call my sponsor, I call my friends, I pray, and just try to stay grounded and present in the moment.
And I would imagine that a lot of people out there have, it's one thing to get pulled back into the past. You have something lingering over you that will never go away. You have this diagnosis that, as healthy as you are, as many 12-step meetings you go to, and all of the things, that will never change. How do you stay where your feet are in this day and not jump into tomorrow and not jump into the fear of what could be tomorrow?
Well, my first response to you was, I don't know. I just do it. But then I started to think about it, and not to sound redundant, but like really staying connected to the people and my higher power and the things that keep me grounded. Having a pity party is not going to solve anything. It's not going to keep cancer away. So I just have to stay connected to all the people and things that keep me grounded.
And some days it's okay to cry about it, right? And like some days it's like we don't have to avoid our emotions today. But again, it's picking amazing people to surround yourself with. So when you have those hard days, we don't need to spiritually bypass and be like, everything's okay, right? Like,
Right. Yeah.
right? Because I mean, that's, I think sometimes too, like we can, yes, gratitude is immensely important, but sometimes even just realizing that two things can exist at the same time. I can be really sad and I know I'm okay today. I know you're going to stick around and I hope people get to know you. But for somebody who is still out there, in closing, there's any one of us, I'm sure, can think of at least 5 things that like, oh, but if you just knew this about me, or if you just knew that about me, we're looking for these hall passes of grief or pain, or I want to stay where I am and not see the joy in life. How do you, what sort of experience, strength, and hope to that person who's out there saying, but that's not me. I can't do this. This thing that I'm feeling is too big. It may not be cancer, but it may be, fill in the blank. How do you tell people that no matter what they're going through, their thing is not too big to get, to walk through in community?
So I would say find the people that will listen without judgment and be there for you. Sometimes it seems hard to find those people, but if you look in the right places, you will find them. Yeah. And staying grounded, again, like staying grounded and connected to your higher power. And don't be afraid to be yourself, because those people that you find and your true authentic self will love and understand you.
I love you, friends.
I love you too.
Can you guys please give Jess a round of applause? Thank you, Jess. I love you so much. I know, right, guys? Isn't she amazing? Sorry, I have to get in the present moment here. I'm like, what am I doing? Sorry. The way we end service here tonight is the same way we begin, but this is with heartaches. So if anyone here tonight is holding something that it's too big for them to carry alone, just know that you are in community, that everything that you are carrying, you do not have to carry it alone. We are here for you. There's somebody here who would love to talk to you, give you a hug, but anyone in this room, both online and in this room, if you're carrying a heartache and you would like to be just in community with it, please drop your comments in the comments. I don't know if that's how you say that, but we're going to roll with it. Or raise your hand, and Jerome will pass around a mic, and we have 3 minutes.
My name's Layla. If we could just hold a special prayer for my mom. Today's her birthday, and she's still in her addiction. It's really hard to not be able to pull her out of it. So if we could just lift her up in prayer.
Oh, I love you, friend.
My name's Cassie. I mentioned a few weeks ago, my mom, we found more blood clots on her brain after she already got rid of different blood clots last year. And now because of the new blood clots, after a year of being sober off of blues, she's now picked them back up. So if we could possibly pray for her to help her pull herself out again, that would be awesome.
And praise for both of you. That's a lot for you to carry as well.
Hey y'all, I'm Katie, and I learned something tonight that it's time for me to draw the bridge when it comes to my brother and his wife. I don't get to see my niece and nephew, and he pulls me back into shame, even though I have held myself accountable and I do the next right thing, and my porch light will always be on, but I think it's time to move forward. So pray for me as I do that, because it's really hard. Thank you.
We're here for you. I hope you can see them. I can't see anyone with these lights. Okay, hi.
Hi. So my brother had passed away 2 years ago, and his anniversary is coming up next month. And how Jessica had spoke about like the feelings of like when, and that's her name, right? Sorry. Yeah. Okay. I'm Jessica too. And the feelings, how she said that when she's about to relapse, like those are kind of what I'm starting to feel, like the anger, the isolation, not going to meetings. So I think it's just a hard, rough time for me around this time, because me and my brother, we were like best friends. So it's pretty hard for me right now.
Reach out to us. Stay after. Would love to talk to you.
Glad
you're
you're
not
here.
alone.
One more?
Can I say one thing? I know the story that you had mentioned. I know who you're talking about, and it's Kathy and Melissa, and they're actually traveling. They had to go home for a loss of their family, so keeping both of them in our prayers, because I know she would have been really sad to miss you.
I'm Kai, and I have to call myself out. I've kind of been isolating also, so it's just really good to be here. Hopefully I'll come out of it.
Oh, we love you, Kai. Glad you're here. Jerome, you want to join me back up here?
Yes, but this is the last time.
Nope. Do you want to go first again?
Okay. All right, Terry, please pray for a teenager presently in mental wellness medical unit. Thanks for sharing that with us, Terry.
Monica, asking for prayers for my dad's side of the family tonight. My auntie Carrie passed on Monday. Thank you. Oh, praying for you, Monica. Okay, that's it. Thanks, friend. Okay, if you guys have been affected by the mission here at Free, if you call us your home, your family, your people, if there's any sort of connection here, what we ask at this time is for donations. So this is where, people ask us all the time, how are we funded? How do we do this thing? It is through your generous giving. So we do some grants throughout the state, but obviously the way things are going right now, it's a little bit challenging. So we do actually rely on your generous giving. There are 3 ways. You can download the app. On the app, you can get all of our past content as well, including Corey's interview. But you can download the app and then click on giving. You can also go directly to our website. On the website, again, it just goes to giving, and that's freerecoverycommunity.com. And just outside these 2 doors, you'll find the giving kiosks, those little plastic boxes, if you are the cash or check type person. And then also just outside of these doors is the Kind kiosk. I said it last time, and I'm just going to roll with it now, that there is a tippy tappy. That's what you do with your credit card. You take your credit card and you tippy tappy on it, and you can do it. There's $25, $50, and $100, and I think you can actually choose any of the denominations, but it's so fun. Who doesn't like to say tippy tappy? So go ahead. You can tippy tappy out there. And I do want to end with a very special prayer that is really, really meaningful to me personally. I don't know about any of you guys, but I need to say this one on a daily basis because those people, places, and things around me, I want to change them so desperately bad, and I cannot. So I remind myself with the ACA Serenity Prayer. If you guys do not know it, it'll be up here on your screen. But please, let's just take a breath together. We can open up our hands just as a sign of openness. We are here in this moment together. And we'll go out with the ACA Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, courage to change the one I can, and the wisdom to know that one is me. Thank you, free family. And remember, we are not here next Saturday, but we will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks, guys.